Alright, today we're going to be talking about content. Just jumping right into this, I want to be very clear that I don't hate timed events, but I don't like how a lot of shooters recently have been relying on them too much. A while back with Rainbow Six Siege's Outbreak mode, I mentioned that I don't like the timed events that I'm seeing constantly in FPS games because I feel like they don't add longevity to the game, they don't add more value to your purchase if you were to purchase after that event happened, and they just seem to be there to steal playtime from other shooters. Usually these timed events happen around the launches of other games or other games' events, so if Battlefield has an event, likely Call of Duty is going to have one within the next week, or vice versa. If a big game is releasing, likely you'll see one big shooter or another be doing some sort of temporary event. There's nothing wrong with this, but I don't like the focus on it. I don't like that shooters aren't trying to become bigger and better, they're just trying to string you along and make sure that you show up every couple of weeks and do your chores. And a lot of times these do feel like chores. Now sometimes they're well done, sometimes they add a great bit of value, and sometimes things should be temporarily added before they're permanently added. But for me, I like to see developers pouring real, permanent content into their games instead of spending money on these little events. Imagine if Black Ops 4 didn't have that battle pass kind of system that required you to play a certain number of games and have a certain amount of playtime to get to a certain number tier to unlock a weapon. That way you wouldn't have to either pay $50 or play every day for 50 days. They could just give you a challenge. It could be a kind of a hard challenge, and when you complete it, you get that gun, like get a certain number of headshots with 3 assault rifles, or get a kill with an SMG and then a kill with an assault rifle in the same life using overkill. Do that 22 times or something like that, and you get a new gun. And these challenges could be permanent additions to the game. And I'm pretty sure Infinite Warfare did that. Infinite Warfare just gave people weapons, and if you didn't have the season pass, you had to complete a challenge to get the gun. If you had the season pass, you didn't get the challenge. Honestly, I think the challenge would have made me play more, because I would be playing for content, and that's always fun to directly earn content through completing challenges. The speed in which you complete it will be more dependent on your skill and not as dependent on your playtime. And if you don't have time to get that gun right when it comes out or within that month, it'll be waiting for you. So if you go back to play a game months and months later, you have challenges waiting for you, you have progression waiting for you, you have content waiting for you, not RNG, and not terribly long grinding times. That's why on the screen right now you're seeing Battlefield 4 gameplay. Now Battlefield 4 was heavily reliant on its premium pass, which is mostly dead now. Most of the DLCs that came out with the premium pass are not played on anymore, and that's terribly unfortunate, and I'm very sad about that. But each DLC, if we just look at it as content instead of something you had to buy, that is the dirty part about it. And so maybe I'm cheating here, but there was so much content added to the game. Ideally it would have been free, but it wasn't, but there was content. And the game just was filled with content anyway, where every time you did anything, you felt like you were progressing towards something. Getting kills with the support class helped you unlock stuff for the support class. Getting kills with the assault class helped you unlock things for the assault class, so on and such forth. Being helpful, getting kills, doing well, those things were just constantly progressing you towards a large variety of weapons. Now, not all of these weapons were competitively sanctioned. Not all of these weapons were balanced, and that's a problem. But what isn't a problem is the amount of customization and the amount of experimentation you could have. Maybe there's a really crappy gun in Battlefield 4, but if you finally unlock it, you have something new to look at, new to listen to, in terms of gun sounds and visuals, which isn't the biggest thing, but you can use it and unlock stuff for it and try to get good at it and maybe play around with the attachments until you do end up starting to like it a little bit. To me, that's content. Even if it's something that's kind of weak, it's fun to play around with. I always laugh when people say that, oh, well, those guns weren't competitively sanctioned, therefore they don't really count as variety because they're either stat copied, overpowered, or underpowered, and they're just poorly added and I hate them. Well, here's the thing. Content is content, and ideally, quality and quantity would go hand in hand. But I've never played a perfectly balanced FPS game, and honestly, none of you have. None of you have. Some people are going to say Modern Warfare 2, but you don't know how hierarchies work, that's why you would say that. Look, in Kingdom Hearts, there's actually an ability you can turn on that, I know I keep bringing up this game, I should probably start a second channel, but in Kingdom Hearts, there's an ability you can turn on which makes it so you stop leveling up. So you can turn it on at level 1 and stay level 1 through your entire playthrough. This makes the game harder, so why would you do that? Well, to challenge yourself, to make it more difficult. Why would the developers put something in there that's not optimal? It's so that you can replay the game and challenge yourself with the game for years to come, and so you don't just beat the game and you're done. And whether this is the developer's intention or not, I love guns in video games that maybe aren't the most competitive. I can come back and I can play with them, and I can tweak them and do different attachments on them, and see how well I could potentially do. What I desperately wish for, is that FPS shooters like Call of Duty and Battlefield go back to filling their games to the brim with content, and not relying pretty much solely on season passes and timed events, or occasional free content drops and timed events. So boom, what you're asking for is, I want a lot of stuff and I want it to be high quality because I'm an entitled bitch. The answer to that is yes. I do feel a little entitled. Because over the last couple of years, my biggest problem with FPS games is that they feel small. They feel so focused that they lose that kind of level of experimentation and intrigue that I had with other games like Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline. Hell, the fact that Call of Duty Infinite Warfare had some of the most interesting weapons in the series also made the game very replayable despite having very boringly laid out maps. I've talked enough on this channel about how maps create more interesting gameplay if the maps themselves are more interesting. But for this video, I kind of want to end it here and summarize what I've been rambling about. These games that are out right now, Battlefield 5, Black Ops 4, hell, when COD World War II was out, these events that come out, these temporary game modes, these things that they come and go. They're little events that don't add to the overall longevity of the game. They're little events that just try to take you away from other games, making you feel obligated to play because you don't want the time limit to run out. Putting a time limit on content constantly, daily, weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, don't care. Whatever kind of event it is, the money that goes into making that event could have gone into some real content that makes that game bigger and give that game more variety and give it more longevity so that you want to come back to it several years from now. I've played a lot of Battlefield 4 and I still have so many weapon combinations that I haven't tried yet. There's still so many pieces of equipment I rarely use, but if I wanted some extra variety, if I wanted a different way to play Battlefield 4, I could use them. One of the reasons I love Rainbow Six Siege is despite its simple exterior, it's actually very deep and you can have a lot of different customization options, and I actually encourage new players, and I'm going to make a little video on this, I encourage new players to try out new things in Rainbow Six Siege, try out attachment combinations that maybe your favorite YouTubers or pro players don't use, but you could enjoy, and approach objectives from different areas and play the game differently every match, especially in casual. And ranked, maybe stick to what works so that you don't piss off your team. But really, I love the amount of replayability Rainbow Six Siege has because you can play it differently all the time. Despite it seeming simple, attack and defend building, it actually has a lot more depth than that, and anyone that's played it knows it. It's also a reason that I love playing Kingdom Hearts so gosh darn much, is because you have a lot of things you can tweak in terms of your abilities, your items, and your keyblades, and how you match those up. It just ends up feeling fun and like it caters to your imagination, instead of just trying to make you feel obligated to play it at certain times. Again, not all timed events are bad, some are handled pretty well, and I think some of them should be temporary, but for the most part, I wish games would try to be bigger, and try to add more, and try to be more on the side of longevity. Because I hate all these $60 games on my hard drive that I really don't feel like going back to, but yet I still go back to games like Kingdom Hearts 2, I still keep playing Rainbow Six Siege, and I still go back to Battlefield 4. Thank you guys so much for watching, I'll see you when I see you, goodbye.
Ian, you got two on there, just one rushing from the left right now. Excellent, you've got a tank moving up on your position. Oh, he's sitting still. You do have one more play. And you've got one coming up right there. You see him?
Well, who's running up to that tank with C4? Is that you, Gilly?
No, I'm still on my map trying to keep being as safe as I can. There's a guy distracted on the helicopter right here in the middle of the road. And if you want an easy kill. He's still looking at it. And he just dropped his weapon, he's climbing up the boxes. Damn, I didn't see him, I'm sorry, I was trying to survey.